What's this? A letter for me.
Welcome to another episode of Remember the Great Sports Through the Mail Thursdays. Today I'm going to open 3 envelopes and I'm going to show you the results of what I got back in the mail recently. Okay, the first return is from former San Francisco Giant catcher Dave Rader on 1. 1 as a Cub, makes 2. And a 3rd as a Philly. And I actually included a 4th one, but he didn't sign it. Maybe he doesn't sign more than 3. Maybe he doesn't sign more than 1 per team. Not really sure. So I'm going to throw that one off camera. But I'm happy with the 3 that we did get back. So I'll tell you a little bit about his career. Dave Rader was drafted by the San Francisco Giants in the first round, 18th overall, in the 1967 draft out of high school. After being drafted, he played from 1967 to 1971 in the Giants minor league system, working his way up through the system, until a late September call-up in 1971 to make his major league debut. He only appeared in 3 games in 1971, and in 1972 basically got the full-time gig as the starting catcher for the Giants. Well, from 1972, 1973, and 1974, he was the primary starting catcher for the Giants. Well, after the 1974 season, 1975, he was reduced to more of a primarily backup catcher role, only appearing in 98 games, and then 88 games the following year in 1976. Well, after the 1976 season, the Giants traded him to the St. Louis Cardinals. He spent 1 season with the Cardinals and then was traded that very next offseason to the Chicago Cubs. After spending 1 season with the Cubs, he found himself packing his bags again, being traded to the Philadelphia Phillies. After his season with the Phillies, he was then traded to the Boston Red Sox. After the 1980 season, Rader never played baseball again in the major leagues. In a 10-year major league career, Rader played in 846 games, accumulating 619 hits over 2,405 at-bats for a career .257 batting average with 30 home runs and 235 batted in. Rader had a career .983 fielding percentage, and that's pretty impressive. He also caught a no-hitter thrown by Ed Halicki in 1975. So I want to thank Mr. Rader for signing my cards. I really appreciate it because I've never gotten him to sign for me before. Alright, so this next one is former Senator Del Unser on 1, 2 as a Met, 3 as a Montreal Expo, and finally a 4th on a highlights card. Unser played his college baseball at both Eastern Illinois University, but primarily at Mississippi State University after transferring from Eastern Illinois. Unser is one of those players, again, that was drafted 3 times. He was drafted by the Twins, the Pirates, but finally signed with the Senators after he was drafted. Immediately after being drafted, he joined the ranks of the Senators' AA affiliate in 1966. The following year, he also spent in AA for the Senators. Well, in 1968, he got his big break as he got the starting role as one of the outfielders on the newly formed Senators franchise. He spent from 1968 to 1971 being one of the primary outfielders in the Senators' outfield. Well, after the 71 season, he was traded by the Texas Rangers to the Cleveland Indians. He spent 1 year with Cleveland, then after Cleveland sent him packing to the Philadelphia Phillies for Oscar Gamble. If you guys know who Oscar Gamble is with the big hair. Well, he would land in Philadelphia for a couple seasons, and then he was then traded to the Mets. He would then spend a couple seasons with the Mets before he landed with the Expos. After 3 seasons with the Expos, he would then return to the Philadelphia Phillies in a backup role and spend the 1979, 80, and 81 and 82 seasons as a backup outfielder or part-time outfielder for the team. In total, he spent 15 years in the major leagues and had a lifetime .258 batting average. Well, after his career ended as a player, Unser actually joined the front office, working under Lee Thomas, and helped build a lot of the Philadelphia Phillies' success throughout the years. He became part of the farm director for the minor leagues. He was instrumental in drafting players such as Jimmy Rollins, Pat Burrell, and helping build the success of the Phillies. Well, after his career with the Phillies in the front office, he decided to retire. And I'm not too sure if he's still involved with the Phillies or not, but I'm very happy to add his autograph to my collection. And thank you, Mr. Unser, for signing those cards. All right, so this last one, I'm pretty excited to share with you, because I was going through my cards, and I really wasn't sure who this individual was, but I saw some other people have success, so I started looking him up. And I saw that he actually had an acting career after his Major League Baseball career. And who am I talking about? None other than Mr. Phil Mankowski on 1, 2, a duplicate makes 3, and on his rookie card, actually, right there in the corner, makes 4. And I've gotten Rich Dower to sign for me before, and I'm really not sure why I didn't get Rich Dower to sign this card, to be honest with you. I saw Dower a couple years ago when he was a coach in the minor leagues, and for whatever reason, didn't get this card signed. So here I am. And Orlando Gonzalez, I would love to get to this card, but I just can't find any way to contact him. In addition, I have a senior league card, as many of you know. I like collecting the senior league cards, and I'd love to get that signed by Gonzalez as well, but unfortunately Doug Alt is no longer with us. He passed away a few years ago. So I'm going to talk briefly about Phil Mankowski's baseball career, but I want to talk about his acting career. See, while I was doing research, I decided to include this in my envelope along with a couple index cards, and I asked Mr. Mankowski, is it possible that you could sign an index card, Hank Benz, after your signature? Thanks. Well, you're probably wondering, well, who's Hank Benz? Well, in the movie The Natural, one of the greatest baseball movies ever produced, Phil Mankowski portrayed the part of Hank Benz as the third baseman on the New York Knights that Robert Redford played on. So, he included this signed index card, Phil Mankowski, Detroit Tiger number 2, Hank Benz, The Natural number 5, and not only did he sign that one index card, he actually personalized another index card to me. Hi Joel, best wishes, Phil Mankowski, Hank Benz, The Natural. Well, it gets better. So, my original note, you flip over, and he wrote a wonderful note to me and my father. Hi, Joel. Thank you for your kind note. Hope you, Dad, and family are well during these problem times. It'd be an honor to sign for you. Stay well. Take care. Phil Mankowski. So, pretty cool. Pretty cool to have this personalized note with my writing and his, to have this as well, but not to mention the coolness about being in one of the most iconic sports movies of all time. So I'm going to talk a little bit briefly about Phil Mankowski's career, and we're going to wrap this video up. So Phil Mankowski is from New York, attended high school in New York, and he was drafted by the Tigers in the 9th round in the 1970 draft out of his high school. Well, immediately He joined the Tigers as an 18-year-old kid, and he worked his way all the way through the minors until 1976 when he made his major league debut, appearing in 24 games for the Tigers. He would primarily be only used as a backup infielder at third base throughout his entire career in Detroit, until finally in 1979 he was traded to the New York Mets for Richie Hebner, who I've shown in an episode before. He spent 3 years with the Mets organization, but primarily only was in the AAA affiliate for the Mets those seasons. He had only 8 games in 1980 with the Mets and 13 games in 1982 with the Mets. Well, after the 1982 season, Mankowski retired. Well, as you know, a few years later, the movie The Natural was shot, and Mankowski portrayed Hank Binns. So, very cool, very, very happy to add this to my collection, especially this personal note from Mr. Mankowski. I want to thank Mr. Rader and also Mr. Unser for taking the time to sign. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch my video. Again, if Mr. Mankowski, if you see this, you really made my day by sending this note to me and signing these index cards. I actually like the index cards more than the cards you signed for me, to be honest with you, because of the connection to the natural. Thanks for watching. Look forward to your comments below.